Parliamentarian in the U.S. Senate has ruled against the Democrats allowing the amnesty bills, which are the amnesty for the DACA recipients, the amnesty for TPS, the amnesty for agricultural workers, and the amnesty for essential workers. It's what we've been talking about for the last several weeks, from being included in the reconciliation. To go back a little bit, the reconciliation is a budget bill. You are allowed a majority to pass a budget in the U.S. Senate. Everything else, all new laws, require 60 votes in the U.S. Senate. The Democrats have 50 votes plus Kamala Harris, which makes it 51 votes. They were trying to put the immigration amnesty into their budget bill, the $3.5 trillion bill that they want to pass by my birthday in a week from now, September 27th. I doubt it will be passed by that day. The Parliamentarian decides on the Senate rules. And the Democrats went to the Parliamentarian several days ago. She is an unelected person. She is supposed to be nonpartisan, unelected person. She's been the Parliamentarian since 1999. She votes and rules on how the Senate procedurally should operate. And she does not, by the way, her ruling is not a final ruling. The Democrats can overrule her and say, you know what, we're going to vote for this anyway. But she gives her legal opinion, and many Democratic senators are not going to want to vote for the immigration bills in the reconciliation if the Parliamentarian says it is not a legal maneuver to do so, because they believe that the voters will take it out on them for bending and breaking Senate rules and the democratic process. So it's back to the drawing board for the Democrats. Now, what the budget bill allows, it allows you to make a budget. And if there is some ancillary changes in the laws that change the laws, but it is mostly a budget maneuver, then it's allowed. If they are new laws with new things happening, then that's not a budget maneuver, that is a new law. So you have to look at it from both sides. Now, I want you to know something. Me personally, I was kind of fooled in a way, in the sense that I thought this was going to pass the Parliamentarian. For sure, if it did, and the reconciliation bill passed, for sure, every senator was on record of wanting to vote for these amnesty bills. They had the votes in the Senate. They had the votes in the House. It was getting past this woman, and then obviously passing a full reconciliation bill. Right. And I was kind of fooled in a way, because I thought that this was going to go past the Parliamentarian. This was going to be in the reconciliation bill. And my thought process was, I hope the rest of the reconciliation bill comes together so that way immigration would be able to pass. I did not believe prior to this Parliamentarian ruling that the immigration amnesty bills would not be included in the reconciliation. I did not believe that was going to happen. And maybe I was fooled myself, or I had wishful thinking, when I look back at it. But if you really look, and I want it to pass more than anybody, okay? I am extraordinarily disappointed. But if you take a step back, whether you're pro-immigration, you don't want the immigration bill to pass, and you say to yourself, are these new laws, or is this a budget thing? These are new laws. I mean, the reality is, they're making 4 new amnesty laws that didn't exist before, and saying, well, because we're charging money, it's going to raise money for a budget, therefore it's a budget maneuver. Well, you could say that about almost anything at that point. So then, almost any law or bill would be able to get into the reconciliation. So in a sense, as a Monday morning quarterback, you know what that means? You now decipher the football game from Sunday on Monday and say, oh, you should have done this play, you should have passed, you should have ran. You look back and you say, you know what? The fact is that they are new laws. So you can't blame the Parliament. I'm disappointed completely. If anything, I blame the Democrats. They got to do things. You can't get people's hopes up.
That part.
You can't get people's hopes up after, what, 30 years of trying to pass an immigration law? a generation and a half of people who are working here undocumented, can't make a better life for themselves. A generation and a half of people. My son is in college. My daughter's in college. The last time the immigration laws changed was before they were born. A long time ago.
That's a long time.
It's a long time ago. You can't get people's hopes up. And the discussions and the talk and the finally, thank God, is the emotional pain of being let down. Now, Senator Durbin, who was heading all of this, he says he has another trick up his sleeve.
Okay.
To go back to the Parliamentarian. From what I understand it, is they're going to go back with another plan. What is that plan going to be? Is it going to be a pared down amnesty, or is it going to be completely different? Now, when you look at what the Parliamentarian ruled, she ruled that this is a new law. This is not a change in the law. This is a new law that is ultimately changing the dynamics of immigration in America. So if they really want to pass immigration reform, I'll give you two suggestions of what I believe they would come back with.
Okay.
Because they're going to come back with something. It's not over yet. They're going to come back with something. It's going to be either a pared down version of this amnesty that we've been talking about, or something completely different. My belief, if they were smart, is it would be something completely different in the sense that you got to work within the framework of laws that have already passed and say we are going to not make new immigration laws. These are existing immigration laws that we're going to amend in order to raise money as part of a budget. That, to me, would be a smarter move than coming back with some new version of an amnesty or a new immigration bill. Thinking about it, because the Parliamentarian said, these are all new laws. It's not a budget thing. You're making new laws here. So let's take the existing laws and see how we can help people by changing it just a little bit and making money from it, or changing the budget from it. And I'll give you two things that I think they could possibly do. And they've talked about this in the past. So this is not just something in my crazy brain. These are things they've talked about in the past. Two things that they can do right now by changing two sentences in the Immigration and Nationality Act. You're not even making a new bill. You're not making a new law. You're changing a sentence.
Okay.
Okay? One is registry. Registry is an old form of amnesty. What it says is that if you were in the United States continuously as of January 1st, 1972, to the present, you get a green card, as long as you didn't have a green card previously. Okay, so it's not as if you had a green card, you got ordered deported, and now you're living here, you'd like to go. It's you never had a green card ever in your life. That's what registry is. Now, that hasn't changed, that date hasn't changed in 35, 40 years. January 1st, 1972. Every person who applies for registry has to pay filing fees to the U.S. government. Okay, right now the filing fee is $1,225. There's nobody applying for registry anymore. You want to know why, Jonathan?
Because it's so far back.
So far back. Everybody who's been here since 72 has a green card.
Right.
Okay, so you want to raise money? You don't want to make a new law? You want to help people? Change the date.
Change the date, yeah.
January 1st, 1972. It's now January 1st, 2020.
Right.
Every person, whether it's DACA, I mean, you want to have an amnesty and not make a new law?
Right.
And raise money? Change the date. January 1st, 2020. It's no longer $1,225 filing fee. It's $2,000.
Right.
Whatever it is. People will be thrilled to pay it. Okay? Great way to raise money. You didn't make a new law.
Makes sense.
This law is on the books.
Right.
Okay?
Just update it.
You're just updating it. Another thing they could do, change the 245I date. Now, we talked about 245I a lot. It's changed several times throughout the iterations of Immigration Nationality Act. 245I is a bill that says if you entered the country without inspection and you get sponsored in a job, you get sponsored by a family member, you invest money in a business, whatever it is, you go through the sponsorship process. There are too many people who go through the sponsorship process, and can't get their green cards in America because they're undocumented. They're out of status unless you're married to an American citizen. They all have to go home. Not everyone could go home because you need a provisional waiver. Most people who are getting sponsored in jobs, you can't do job sponsorships anymore. You bring back 245I, you can do job sponsorships till the cows come home. Everybody pays a penalty fee and adjusts their status in America. That's what 245I is. You've heard me talk about it a lot, about grandfathering in. It changes the dynamics of everything. People get sponsored in jobs. They get sponsored by their family. They don't need provisional waivers. They don't have to go home. They don't have to come back. All you're doing is changing a sentence. Instead of saying you had to start your case by January 14th, 1998 or April 30th, 2001 and been physically present here December 21st, 2000, you had to start your case by January 1st, 2023. Pick a new date in the future.
Yeah.
Everyone gets sponsored in a job. They get sponsored by a family member. Boom, they pay a penalty fee. They get their green card here. They don't have to go home. We don't have to worry about provisional waivers. You changed one sentence in the law. You've raised lots and lots of money. Two things they could do that I believe would most likely pass the Parliamentarian because you're not making new laws.
Yeah.
You're just tweaking a law to raise money.
Yeah, he's still making money. Right.
To make money. You're tweaking a law to make money. You're tweaking existing laws. And by the way, that would help. If you did that, two sentences, 70% of the undocumented immigrants in America between those two. Not everybody, but almost everybody. A majority. It's a very sad day.
Yeah.
It was a sad night for me last night. I didn't sleep well last night because I was upset about it.
Yeah.
Now, they say they're going to come back with something. We know that for immigration to pass, it's got to get into this reconciliation. There is no way in the world any Republican is voting for immigration reform. Just not happening. Because the Republicans are the party of the status quo. That's what it is. And you know what status quo is? We want white middle-class majority rule.
Right.
And if you get an immigration reform, the country becomes even more multicultural than it is. Just
They don't want that.
they don't want that. You're not going to get Republicans to vote for that. So it has to go through the reconciliation process. Now, I'm not the parliamentarian. I am not an expert in Senate procedure. I am telling you what I think is possibly could happen. The reconciliation has to be done in the next week, 10, 12, 14 days. So whatever they're coming back with, they'll be coming back this week to the Parliamentarian. So stay tuned, and we'll see where everything goes from here. I'll let you comment, guys.
You said it all, you know. I mean, this is why I really love this part of the show because, you know, so many people have been wanting to know what was going to happen. And for this to happen where we didn't even see it coming, definitely going to have to stay tuned to find out what they come back with. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. As much as I wanted these 4 amnesties to pass, if they update the registry.
Which you remember you had said that like before you even read.
Right. I've been saying this for years.
Yeah.
They update the registry. They help so many people. Doesn't matter whether you were DACA, you're an essential worker. They complicated it and makes the application process so much easier. All you have to do is prove you were here. You don't have to prove I worked in this job. You know, how many questions did we get? How do you prove you're an essential worker?
Right. My question is, why do you think they have not, you know, moved that date up?
I think it's about political cover. So in other words, if you move the registry date up, the congressmen who are up for election, senators who are up for election, who are in the more moderate districts, they can be accused of making an amnesty. If you say, we didn't do an amnesty, we targeted people who deserve a green card. So they picked people who they said deserve a green card, and therefore I have political cover. What are you telling me? Kids who came here when they were little can't get a green card?
Right.
You're telling me the people who pick our apples should all be illegal? You're telling me the people who are the essential workers in the United States of America, who are helping everybody, who helped everybody through COVID while you were sitting home watching TV, they shouldn't be able to become legal? It makes it much more politically palatable to be able to defend that vote versus defend a vote of, I just gave an amnesty to everybody.
Right.
But I think what they have to do is give an amnesty to
Yeah.
everybody at this point. The Congressional Budget Office estimated, had the Parliamentarian allowed this amnesty to go through, over 10 years it would have added $700 billion to the budget of the United States of America. It would have been a plus $700 billion. That would, if there was a registry, how much taxes would be collected? Think about the tax money that would be collected. And by the way, for all of those people who don't want an amnesty, nobody's going anywhere.
Right.
Okay? I mean, let's
real.
call it as it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody's going anywhere.
Right.
Just because you don't pass this doesn't mean that all of a sudden now everyone's going to pack up and go home.
Right.
They're here, whether you like it or not. So collect their tax dollars.
Hey, at least make it
worthwhile for America.
Right.
Let's be a humane
Right.
place. Collect tax dollars. It's a benefit for everybody.
Right.
Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.